Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins head into the season with a significant challenge on their hands. And it's not just about the quarterback, the offensive line, or the highly anticipated wide receiver duos that fans love to debate endlessly. The latest news dropped like a cold bucket of water on Monday when head coach Mike McDaniel confirmed that the team will not have running back Jalen Wright available to start the year, and on top of that, kicker Jason Sanders is also out. Now, losing a kicker may not sound like headline material compared to losing a running back or star receiver, but anyone who follows football closely knows the value of reliable special teams play. Sanders has been one of those steady presences for Miami, a player you don't think much about until he's not there to split the uprights when the game comes down to a nail-biting final possession. The situation becomes even trickier because McDaniel didn't provide full clarity on the extent of Sanders' injury, leaving fans and analysts in a fog of uncertainty. What he did confirm is that surgery will not be required, which is at least a sigh of relief for anyone fearing the worst. Still, the phrase "but time is" carries weight, because it means this is not a short-term tweak. It's not a case of tape it up, push through, and you're good by next Sunday. This is a process that will keep Sanders sidelined for weeks, maybe longer depending on how his recovery develops. For a team that has playoff aspirations, one injury might not derail momentum, but two at the same time, especially when one impacts the backfield rotation and the other disrupts the kicking game, could prove costly in games that are often decided by razor-thin margins. Now, the big question hanging in the air is whether Jason Sanders will end up on injured reserve. If he does, the rules dictate he would miss at least the first 4 games of the season. That's a month without your primary kicker, and in a league where every field goal attempt could swing a season, those 4 games could loom large down the stretch. Think about it. The Dolphins aren't just fighting for playoff position, they're fighting in an AFC that is stacked with contenders. A missed opportunity in September can haunt a team in December. McDaniel didn't commit one way or the other, but the uncertainty itself creates a planning headache. Do you stash Sanders, give him more time, and sign a temporary replacement, or do you hope for a quicker recovery and risk being shorthanded if things drag longer than expected? We got our first glimpse of what life without Sanders might look like in the preseason finale. With Sanders unavailable, punter Jake Bailey was tasked with handling the kickoffs, an unusual sight for Dolphins fans accustomed to Sanders' steady leg. The game itself was revealing, not necessarily for the final score, but for how Miami handled scoring opportunities. After finding the end zone twice, the Dolphins didn't trot out a backup kicker to attempt extra points. Instead, McDaniel rolled the dice and went for 2 both times. While it might have been a preseason game with little consequence, it symbolized what the team could face in real action, making strategic choices not because they want to, but because they have to. And while gutsy 2-point attempts make highlight reels, they are not a sustainable plan for a 17-game season. That brings us to the next step in the process, finding a new kicker. McDaniel was clear that the team will need to sign one, and the free agent market has a few familiar names floating around. Among them are Eddie Pinheiro, Cade York, Greg Zuerlein, and Zane Gonzalez. Each of those options carries a different reputation. Pinheiro has had moments of brilliance, but has also struggled with consistency. Cade York is younger, still viewed as a developmental leg with upside. Zuerlein, known as Greg the Leg, has one of the strongest reputations, but has bounced around lately as his accuracy has dipped at times. Gonzalez has also been serviceable when healthy, though durability has occasionally been a question. None of these names scream long-term solution, but that's not what Miami needs right now. They need a reliable stopgap who can come in immediately and keep points on the board until Sanders is back. Fans are split on what direction the Dolphins should take. Some argue that the team should prioritize experience, pointing to Zuerlein as a steady veteran who has been through playoff runs and understands the pressure of high-stakes kicks. Others see this as an opportunity to take a flyer on someone like York, who could grow into a long-term option and even challenge Sanders down the line. After all, competition is healthy, and in the unforgiving world of the NFL, no job is guaranteed forever. What makes this even more intriguing is how Miami balances the urgency of winning now with the patience to manage Sanders' recovery properly. Rushing him back would be reckless, but settling for a replacement who can't deliver when called upon could cost the team crucial games. It's a delicate balance, one that will test McDaniel's ability to manage more than just X's and O's. Of course, this comes at a time when the Dolphins' offense is already facing scrutiny. The absence of Jalen Wright leaves questions in the backfield, and now without Sanders, it feels like the team is being tested before the first whistle of the regular season even blows. McDaniel has built a reputation for being innovative, adaptive, and positive in his approach, but even he must be feeling the strain of these early setbacks. The NFL is brutal that way. Just when you think you've assembled all the pieces, injuries remind you how fragile the picture can be. Every head coach preaches, next man up, but replacing a kicker isn't like swapping a receiver or a linebacker. Kickers aren't just athletes, they're specialists. Their rhythm, confidence, and timing are cultivated over years, and there's no guarantee that a mid-season signing will mesh quickly with the holder, the snapper, and the overall operation. Let's also talk about the psychology of the locker room. Players might not openly admit it, but when a reliable kicker goes down, it shifts the team dynamic. Offenses may feel more pressure to convert on third downs, knowing field goals aren't a sure fallback. Defenses might play tighter, realizing a game could swing not on a missed tackle, but on whether a temporary kicker can nail a 43-yarder in crunch time. These subtle psychological effects ripple throughout a team, and they're part of what makes the NFL so fascinating. It's not just about talent. It's about trust, momentum, and confidence. Sanders has been that steady presence, and his absence, however temporary, creates a void that will be felt beyond just the kicking game. For the Dolphins, filling that void quickly isn't just about points on the scoreboard. It's about restoring equilibrium in a locker room that thrives on rhythm and belief. While fans may be frustrated, it's worth remembering that this is part of the unpredictable nature of football. Every season, teams deal with injuries that force adjustments, and the good ones find ways to adapt. If Miami is truly going to be a contender this year, this challenge could serve as an early litmus test. Can they stay disciplined, resourceful, and resilient without two key contributors? Can McDaniel keep the locker room focused and prevent a narrative of "here we go again" from taking root? The Dolphins have a history of promising starts that fade when adversity hits, but this roster is deeper, more talented, and more mature than in recent years. Whether they sign a veteran kicker tomorrow or wait to see how Sanders heals, this storyline adds drama to a season already loaded with expectations. In many ways, it's the perfect reminder that nothing in the NFL is guaranteed. At the end of the day, Jason Sanders will be back. McDaniel has made it clear this is not a season-ending issue, and that's important perspective for anyone panicking about long-term implications. But the NFL is a league of short-term consequences, where a single missed field goal can define a season. The Dolphins have a golden opportunity this year to make noise in the AFC, but they'll need every point they can get along the way. The next few weeks will reveal whether Miami can weather this early storm or if the absence of their kicker becomes one of those footnotes that turns into a headline later. For now, the focus shifts to who comes in, how quickly they can adapt, and how much trust McDaniel and his players can place in them. Because ready or not, the season is here, and the Dolphins must line up and play. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? Rumors are swirling across the NFL world as the Miami Dolphins allegedly move to shake up their defensive strategy with a signing that has fans buzzing with anticipation. Sources hint that the Dolphins are closing in on an agreement with Griffin, a player renowned for his unparalleled speed and instinctive reading of offensive plays. Insiders suggest that the team sees Griffin as the missing puzzle piece capable of transforming their defensive line from reactive to relentless, turning every snap into a potential game-changing moment. Social media platforms are ablaze with speculation, with highlights of Griffin's previous games circulating rapidly, fueling the excitement. Analysts are already drawing comparisons to some of the league's most formidable defenders, emphasizing Griffin's ability to cover vast ground in mere seconds, disrupt passing lanes, and force turnovers at critical moments. If the deal materializes, it could signal a dramatic shift in the Dolphins' defensive philosophy, one that prioritizes speed, anticipation, and an aggressive approach that keeps opponents perpetually on edge, redefining how Miami defends against high-powered offenses. Fans are understandably ecstatic at the prospect of Griffin joining the Dolphins' ranks, and the team's locker room dynamics are reportedly abuzz with anticipation as veteran players consider how a speedster of Griffin's caliber could alter both practice routines and in-game strategies. The coaching staff, known for innovative defensive schemes, might now have the flexibility to implement more aggressive blitz packages and complex coverage rotations, leveraging Griffin's mobility to create pressure situations that could frustrate opposing quarterbacks. Observers suggest that Griffin's signing could also elevate the performance of surrounding teammates, as his presence demands attention and potentially opens opportunities for others to capitalize on misdirection and split-second decision-making. The buzz around Griffin's work ethic, dedication, and ability to seamlessly integrate into a team-oriented defensive scheme has intensified speculation about the Dolphins' offseason plans, as insiders claim the front office is actively exploring complementary acquisitions to maximize his impact. Enthusiasts are already drawing scenarios of Griffin intercepting critical passes, sacking elusive quarterbacks, and fundamentally altering the pace and momentum of key games, making Miami's defense a feared and unpredictable unit in the upcoming season. Industry insiders whisper that Griffin's signing could trigger a domino effect across the league, prompting rival teams to reassess their offensive strategies against the Dolphins, and potentially accelerating personnel adjustments across multiple rosters. Scouts reportedly have been tracking Griffin for years, noting his rare combination of acceleration, agility, and football IQ, which allows him to anticipate plays before they fully unfold. Rumors indicate that Miami's front office sees this as a long-term investment, betting that Griffin's prime years align perfectly with their championship window, and that his ability to change the trajectory of games is worth the premium attention from both media and fans. Speculation has also intensified about the financial terms of the deal, with insiders hinting that the Dolphins may have offered creative incentives tied to performance milestones, signaling their confidence in Griffin's potential to impact both the stat sheet and the team's overall defensive reputation. Analysts are already drafting potential scenarios in which Griffin's presence alters the league's balance of power, turning Miami from a defensively competent squad into a unit capable of dictating the tempo and intensity of every contest it faces, leaving opponents constantly reevaluating their offensive game plans and preparing for high-stakes matchups against a reinvigorated Dolphins defense. The narrative surrounding Griffin has become a point of fascination among sports journalists, who speculate that the Dolphins may be aiming to redefine the public perception of their defensive identity through this acquisition. Rumors suggest that the coaching staff is particularly focused on maximizing Griffin's explosiveness on third downs, where his speed could either seal crucial stops or generate momentum-shifting turnovers. Observers also highlight Griffin's versatility, noting that he can line up across various positions in the secondary and potentially contribute on special teams, creating multiple avenues for tactical deployment. The chatter extends beyond Miami, as league insiders and rival executives closely monitor these developments, debating how Griffin's unique skill set might influence matchups, especially against teams with fast-paced, pass-heavy offenses. Speculation is rife that the Dolphins management believes this move could accelerate a cultural shift within the locker room, instilling a renewed sense of confidence, accountability, and competitive edge, which might have been elusive in prior seasons. Social media engagement surrounding the rumor has hit record levels, with fans dissecting every highlight reel and expert opinion, imagining the scenarios in which Griffin's sheer athleticism changes the outcome of tightly contested games, turning Miami's defense into a spectacle of relentless speed and anticipation that could dominate the league narrative throughout the season. Conversations among former players, analysts, and fan communities suggest that Griffin's potential arrival might spark debates on defensive philosophies, particularly regarding the emphasis on speed versus traditional strength in modern NFL defenses. Rumors indicate that the Dolphins' defensive coordinator has been studying Griffin's tape extensively, analyzing angles, reaction times, and positioning tendencies to craft a system that maximizes his skill set. Observers note that if Griffin joins the team, his ability to read quarterbacks' eyes and disrupt timing could influence Miami's broader defensive approach, allowing more complex rotations and disguised coverages that keep offenses guessing. Social media speculation has fueled a frenzy of projections, with mock defensive formations and hypothetical game scenarios circulating widely, illustrating how Griffin's speed could create a new standard for defensive expectations in the league. Industry insiders hint that rival teams may begin re-evaluating their offensive line configurations and route designs to counteract a hypothetical Miami defense anchored by Griffin, creating a ripple effect that could alter off-season planning and draft strategies. Meanwhile, betting markets and fantasy football enthusiasts are already factoring Griffin's potential impact into projections, reflecting widespread anticipation of the profound effect a player of his caliber could have on the NFL landscape, making Miami the center of defensive intrigue and speculation. Whispers from the Dolphins front office suggest that Griffin's signing, if finalized, could be part of a broader strategic vision focused on cultivating a younger, faster, and more adaptable defensive unit capable of responding dynamically to the evolving trends in offensive playmaking. Rumors indicate that the team may pair Griffin with other emerging talents, constructing a high-octane defensive line designed to pressure quarterbacks, force hurried throws, and generate turnovers. Analysts speculate that Miami might be prioritizing acceleration and lateral agility, aiming to create a defense that covers more ground, reacts more swiftly, and leverages Griffin's game-changing instincts to dictate the flow of matches. Enthusiasts and insiders alike are highlighting how Griffin's presence could rejuvenate the team's defensive culture, fostering competitiveness and a collective belief in the unit's capacity to dominate opponents across multiple dimensions of the game. Additionally, speculation is rife regarding how Griffin's leadership qualities could influence younger teammates, providing mentorship, setting a professional tone, and enhancing cohesion among a group striving to blend individual brilliance with collective execution. The combination of speed, anticipation, and football intelligence attributed to Griffin has generated a wave of excitement, as observers imagine the possibility of Miami transforming into a defensive juggernaut capable of controlling games through relentless pursuit, strategic anticipation, and high-impact plays that could define the team's identity for seasons to come. Rumors circulating within NFL circles suggest that the timing of Griffin's potential arrival is significant, coinciding with the Dolphins' offseason push to recalibrate their defensive priorities and address gaps exposed in previous campaigns. Speculative reports imply that Miami may have expedited negotiations to ensure Griffin's integration into early training programs, allowing for seamless chemistry development with teammates and accelerated assimilation into the defensive scheme. Analysts emphasize that Griffin's presence could unlock opportunities for innovative play calling, such as hybrid coverages and rotational blitz packages that exploit his speed and anticipation, potentially catching opposing offenses off guard and creating high-leverage situations. Social media forums are teeming with strategic breakdowns, fan projections, and highlight reel compilations that celebrate Griffin's strengths, imagining the transformative potential he brings to Miami's defense. Industry whispers also suggest that the Dolphins' coaching staff is particularly excited about Griffin's ability to impact game momentum, as quick plays, interceptions, and tackles for loss could energize both the team and the fan base, establishing a psychological edge that could become a defining feature of the Dolphins' approach in high-pressure situations. Enthusiasts speculate endlessly about scenarios in which Griffin dominates the field, sparking conversations about the future of defensive schematics, personnel decisions, and the evolution of high-speed defensive play in the modern NFL, making his rumored signing one of the most talked-about stories of the offseason. Internal chatter indicates that Griffin's rumored signing has reignited debates among commentators and analysts about the shifting landscape of NFL defensive priorities, where speed, coverage versatility, and anticipatory playmaking increasingly rival traditional size and brute force. Reports suggest that Miami's defensive playbook could be undergoing subtle yet strategic adjustments, incorporating Griffin's capabilities into more complex schemes that challenge both individual matchups and overall offensive strategies. Fans and insiders alike are creating speculative models, charting scenarios in which Griffin's presence disrupts timing, alters quarterback decision-making, and facilitates turnovers at critical junctures. Rumors also point to potential ripple effects for draft strategies, as teams may prioritize similar skill sets in response, creating a secondary market for players capable of matching Griffin's athletic profile. Analysts argue that Griffin could fundamentally redefine Miami's defensive identity, transforming the unit from a reactive group into a proactive, anticipatory force that pressures opponents, dictates tempo, and creates an aura of unpredictability on the field. Social media engagement has intensified, with highlight compilations, tactical analyses, and fan discussions presenting Griffin's perspective impact as nothing short of transformative, highlighting his ability to inspire both teammates and supporters while positioning Miami as a team to watch in upcoming campaigns. Speculative commentary suggests that Griffin's anticipated integration into the Dolphins' defense could influence more than just on-field tactics, potentially reshaping the team's cultural and psychological approach to competition. Rumors indicate that Griffin's reputation for discipline, preparation, and high-performance consistency might inspire a broader ethos of accountability and resilience among teammates, fostering a defensive mindset centered on anticipation, relentless pursuit, and strategic execution. Industry insiders hypothesize that the front office's move to acquire Griffin could send a message to the league, signaling Miami's commitment to building a defense that is fast, adaptable, and capable of altering the trajectory of games through intelligence, athleticism, and timely playmaking. Fans and analysts alike are creating hypothetical game scenarios to project the impact of Griffin's rumored arrival, considering everything from third-down conversions to red-zone defensive stands, envisioning Miami as a team that thrives on speed, pressure, and momentum-shifting moments. Social chatter underscores a sense of excitement and intrigue, portraying Griffin as a player whose rumored signing transcends statistical contribution, promising to redefine Miami's defensive identity, energize the fanbase, and alter how opponents approach matchups against the Dolphins in both subtle and dramatic ways throughout the season. The chatter surrounding Griffin has grown so pervasive that it has become a dominant topic across sports talk shows, podcasts, and social media commentary, with experts dissecting every aspect of his game and imagining how Miami might deploy his abilities to maximize defensive efficiency. Rumors suggest that Griffin's skill set allows for multi-positional flexibility, giving the coaching staff options to experiment with alignment, coverage schemes, and blitz rotations that could leave opposing quarterbacks scrambling to adjust. Analysts have highlighted his instinctual playmaking, speed, and anticipation as key attributes that could turn ordinary defensive plays into game-altering moments, potentially influencing win-loss outcomes in crucial matchups. Speculative insiders argue that the Dolphins' acquisition of Griffin might spark a new era of high-octane defensive football, combining speed, intelligence, and aggressive strategy to create a unit that not only reacts to plays, but actively dictates the rhythm of the game. Fan communities are already generating countless discussions, memes, and tactical projections, elevating the excitement around Miami's offseason moves and fueling anticipation for a season in which Griffin, if signed, could redefine what it means to be a dominant defensive force in the modern NFL. Insiders suggest that Griffin's rumored arrival could be a cornerstone in the Dolphins' long-term vision, establishing a foundation for a defensive identity characterized by anticipation, acceleration, and adaptability. Rumors indicate that the coaching staff is eager to leverage Griffin's instincts to enhance coverage schemes, increase pressure on opposing quarterbacks, and facilitate turnover opportunities that could swing momentum in Miami's favor during critical moments. Analysts highlight that Griffin's blend of speed, agility, and football IQ could have ripple effects across the defensive unit, prompting positional adjustments, rotations, and strategic innovation aimed at exploiting his unique skill set. Social media speculation has reached fever pitch, with fans imagining scenarios in which Griffin intercepts passes, breaks up critical plays, and energizes the team's overall performance. Industry insiders also hint at potential implications for the broader NFL landscape, suggesting that rival teams may adjust roster strategies and offensive schemes in response to Miami's rumored acquisition, underscoring the potential magnitude of Griffin's impact. The buzz surrounding this possible signing emphasizes not only the immediate tactical benefits, but also the symbolic significance of a team positioning itself as a defensive powerhouse, capable of leveraging elite speed and intelligence to challenge opponents and redefine competitive expectations, making Griffin one of the most intriguing names in off-season discourse across the league. The speculation around Griffin has taken on a life of its own, with every media outlet, fan forum, and analyst corner dissecting what his presence might mean for Miami's defensive aspirations. Rumors suggest that the Dolphins' front office is planning a series of strategic moves, with Griffin as the linchpin, aimed at enhancing not just raw athleticism, but also on-field intelligence and coordination among defensive personnel. Analysts point to Griffin's speed as a game-changing factor, capable of transforming coverage responsibilities, generating confusion for opposing quarterbacks, and creating high-impact opportunities for turnovers and momentum shifts. Fans are eagerly debating hypothetical alignments, blitzes, and coverage schemes that maximize Griffin's unique abilities, often overlaying highlight reels from his previous performances to imagine his integration into Miami's system. Industry whispers hint at broader cultural implications within the locker room, suggesting that Griffin's professionalism, work ethic, and competitive mindset could instill a renewed confidence and intensity among teammates, fostering a defensive philosophy that is both dynamic and relentless. The excitement surrounding Griffin's rumored signing underscores the anticipation of a Dolphins defense that may emerge faster, smarter, and more disruptive than ever before, promising a compelling narrative for fans and analysts alike as speculation continues to intensify around the team's off-season strategy and potential impact in the coming season. The frenzy surrounding Griffin has reached fever pitch, with insiders suggesting that his potential signing could serve as a catalyst for Miami's defensive evolution, signaling a commitment to speed, anticipation, and aggressive playmaking that challenges traditional defensive paradigms. Rumors indicate that coaching staff discussions have focused on leveraging Griffin's explosiveness to create innovative blitz packages, layered coverage schemes, and situational strategies that exploit his ability to read plays and respond instantly. Observers highlight that Griffin's anticipated impact extends beyond individual statistics, influencing the broader tactical approach, energizing teammates, and reshaping opponents' offensive calculations, potentially altering the course of close contests and playoff scenarios. Social media platforms are awash with fan speculation, highlight analyses, and scenario projections, all emphasizing Griffin's potential to transform the Dolphins' defensive unit into a dominant, unpredictable force that pressures offenses into mistakes. Analysts are particularly intrigued by the ripple effects of such a signing, noting that rival teams may need to reconsider draft priorities, offensive line configurations, and quarterback strategies to mitigate Griffin's presence. In essence, the excitement and speculation surrounding Griffin encapsulate a vision of Miami's defense that is fast, intelligent, and transformative, poised to redefine the team's identity while sparking conversation, anticipation, and intrigue across the entire NFL landscape, making the potential signing one of the most electrifying storylines of the off-season and beyond. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.